You know, the last year, every time you go on Xitter, it's Xitter now, isn't it? The story repeats itself. There's a AAA Western production, usually from California. And some people, they look at the female characters and they go like, ew, ew, brother, ew, ew, what is that, brother, what is that? And when you try communicating with like-minded people on the Xitter, you get the backlash. And the backlash, there are individuals that are like, what are you doing, my son? How can you reject these female characters? Like you will like the most masculine female characters ever made with chest scars and cellulitis and vitiligo, and we will put some pronouns and you will like it. Because otherwise you are a gunner. And you are no gunner, are you, my son? No, you're a distant pillar of the community. You crave our respect, and as such you will pay your money to Ubisoft. And it's like, okay. I mean, that's the level of conversation. I need to suffer vulgar aesthetics. I need to embrace ugliness because I crave the respect of people on Twitter. And so I'm like, you know what? Fine. Like, let's not look at the way the characters are like. Let's look at the story, the gameplay, the themes, the immersion. And here is something that Asmongold has found out, and it's also something that I've been pointing out from before. The aesthetics, they're just a red flag. They just warn you of things to come. They're not necessarily the problem in itself. Because you can play games with ugly aesthetics, but look at this.
Part about this, about PoE 2, is the fact that they literally just have slaves pulling the caravan.
Isn't this fucking awesome? Isn't this fucking awesome? You're talking about the grimdark game. Show me the fucking grim darkness. Like, I want to see the bad motherfucker that I need to take down. Look at it, it got slaves. They're pulling his cat. He's sitting there like a boss, like a fucking cock, like right in the middle. And this is what Asmongold explains why you'd never have this in modern games anymore.
Like, Blizzard would never.
They would never. Absolutely not. They would never. The HR hag would have a fit. And it's like, well, make games for your HR hag then. I'm gonna play Path of Exile. How about that?
They would never do this. This is the thing. Yeah, zombies? Well, I don't know if they're zombies or not. They just look like slaves. They're criminals? Exactly. Blizzard would never do this. Yeah, criminals are only victims of circumstance. Everybody knows that.
And that's what they think. That is the fucking mentality that causes situations like in the New York Metro. And they constantly try to push it through art so that people don't blame the politicians when situations like the New York Metro happens. This is the whole shtick. This is the whole thing. Like, they're pushing their garbage ideology that no one would fucking agree with in their video games, and they're doing it subtly. They have psychologists and experts and people that are making sure that only the correct messages are getting pushed. And I'm sick of it. Because it comes at the expense of my story. I don't care what's happening in the New York Metro. I don't live there. You live there, take a cab. But I'm talking about this shit. You would never see this. And this is just one example. Like, let me give you another example why Blizzard would never do this. I remember the story in Diablo 2. I used to play it when I was young. And when you first reach Ludgo Lane, you notice that the person in charge, I don't know if he was a sultan or whatever he was called, the prince, I think. The prince was locked up in his castle. Like, through the entire of Act 2, you meet him once in the beginning, and then he is locked up in his castle. And if you talk to the NPCs, they all hate him. It's like, he's a coward, he's locking himself up in his castle, and he's having sex with all of the ladies there because he's got a harem. And he's probably porking all the ladies there while everyone else is suffering outside the castle. And in the last mission, you actually do go into the castle. And you find out that, no, that's not what was happening. Apparently, a magical portal opened inside this castle and demons were pouring in. They slaughtered all of his wives, and he had to use the mercenaries in order to try to control the demons from breaking out of the castle. And when you go there, you know, in that last act, you see all the ladies just butchered on the ground. It's grim fucking dark, right? Like, it's a dark story. It's supposed to cause the player to experience various emotions. When they did Diablo 2 remake, they removed the cadavers. They removed the grotesque. And it's like, okay, so a game called Diablo that's for adults isn't able to handle pixelated representations of dead NPCs that happen to be women in order to amplify a certain plot point in the story. So I, as a customer, I'm not getting shit. I'm not getting shit, right? Like, they don't care about me as a customer because the HR hag is having a fit. Well, sell your game to the HR hag then. Let me give you another example. And this is like actually one of my favorite games. And it will never be made. Probably not in the next 10 years, unless something changes. It's called Colonization. Have you guys played it? It was, I think, like a standalone game, and then it was like a mod for Civilization 4. And then it was never made. So, like, Colonization requires you to pick a European colonial power. You can play as the British, the French, the Spanish. I think maybe the Dutch. I'm not really sure. But you pick a colonial power, each have like various bonuses and stuff. And then you set up in order to discover the new world. And you create your first city on the shores, you create your Jamestown. And then you gotta start planting shit. You gotta start producing stuff. And then you haul it back to Europe, you sell it, and you buy new material, and you pick up indentured servants, and you pick up new colonists. And you pick up prisoners, and then you take them to the new world, and you can train them to become farmers, to become military men. You train them into various professions, and then you deal with the Indians. Like, the Indians, they have their own settlements. If you encroach on their land, they get angry. You can send your colonists there in order to learn hunting or fishing, and if you declare war to the Indians, they execute your colonists that are there. And you have to deal with other colonial powers. And meanwhile, back in England, or whatever European power you pick, they start taxing you. And they start taxing you more and more and more. Until you have to start newspapers. You start the printing press, you start newspapers, you push for a rebellious sentiment across the colonies, and then you declare independence. And finally, the king sends a massive armada towards you, and if you can hold it off, you win the game. And all the while, you're competing with other colonial powers, and if they declare independence first, they win the game. And that game will never be fucking made! Never! They will never fucking make that. How do I know? Because, like, they attempted something that wasn't even remotely close. It was called Greed, I believe. It was like an RPG. Didn't play it that much. But, like, all the journalists, they had the fit. They were encouraging people to boycott. Oh, the evils of colonial. Shut the fuck up. It's a video game. What about the evils of murder? Every single fucking video game has the evils of murder. You gore brain violence addicted fucks. And that's fine, right? Like, now all of a sudden you disassociated the fiction from the gore. Right? Like, gore is fine. More gore, more gore. But any other theme, if it somehow violates some sensibility, oh, it can't be done in art. No. No, like, we need the permission of the journalist to have sensuality in art. Oh, my goodness. Yes, Asian games are Kumar games. Let's ban them. Hopefully, people are going to play our slop. No one is going to play your fucking slop because it's not entertaining. And it's not entertaining because you can't even do this shit. Every single time they have to introduce something, they have to worry. It's like, how will this be perceived? What will people think? I don't think you can make art like that. Were they making games like this back in 2016? Like, when they made GTA, were they like, oh, but like, can we add hookers? Like, what if someone gets offended? What if someone gets upset? No one fucking cared. They just made the fucking game, right? Anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.